Hello, Dr. Shannon, fellow classmates. First, I want to start out by giving a brief introduction to myself. My name is Robert Henson. I'm a senior here at Troy University, and my major is Research and Technology Management. I look to graduate at the end of this term. Currently, I'm employed with Lockheed Martin here in Pike County as a manufacturing engineer. I've been employed there for the last 10 years, and we build ordnances and missiles for the United States military and our foreign allies. I live in Wetumpka, Alabama with my wife of 13 years and my 8-year-old son. We have 4 dogs, 5 miniature horses, and 2 cats. On the weekends, I enjoy spending time with my son and my wife. Also, my hobby is drag racing and hot rodding. I like to fix up and modify old and newer cars and tune them as well. I plan to discuss about the movie Crimson Tide and the 2 characters in that movie and what type of leadership roles they emulated and portrayed on video. I also plan to discuss and give opinions on that two types of leadership roles that they portrayed and the pros and cons of each. And I also plan to discuss what and why type of leadership I plan to emulate that we observed in the video in my personal and professional life. I also want to discuss what type of leadership role was portrayed in the movie and what scene entailed that. Now I'd like to discuss the movie Crimson Tide, which is set on a nuclear submarine in the Pacific Ocean to have countermeasures towards the Russian military for nuclear threats. There's 2 characters in the movie, Captain Frank Ramsey and Lieutenant Commander Ron Hunter. They had opposing views of leadership roles in this movie. The captain showed dictatorship or autocratic style leadership, which is what you need in a military setting, but you also need countermeasures in place for that, which I believe the higher ups in the military know that in this type of high stress situation on a nuclear submarine, which is why Lieutenant Commander Ron Hunter came recommended to them. They knew his form of leadership, which was a participative and transformal style of leadership, and balanced out the captain. Meaning if there was any decisions that needed to be made, the Lieutenant Commander Ron Hunter would step in and see to fit that the right decisions were made. And an autocratic or dictator style of leadership, there's some drawbacks or cons to this. It allows little to no input from group members and disbands groupthink, and it dictates the work method or processes. For example, when the captain decided to run a missile drill during a fire that was in the galley that Lieutenant Commander Hunter was fighting, he took little to no input from that decision. He did not communicate or discuss his plans with the Lieutenant Commander prior to making that decision. Although on the other hand, I do not argue the fact that it wasn't the best time to do that, but I do agree that you need to practice in the line of fire to be prepared in any situation. But that needs to be communicated with his subordinate in parallel in command, which was the Lieutenant Commander. In that same scene, the Lieutenant Commander showed very good participative and servant leadership, taking the sword and fighting the fire with his shipmates or crew members, and that gained the trust and respect of them, I believe, because at the time he was new. That went a long way, and as a leader, especially a participative leader, you can gain the trust of your employees or team by showing that you care, that you're willing to get in the grit and fire with them. That goes a long way, in my opinion. Back to the autocratic style of leadership, it discourages creativity and is highly structured and more rigid environment. It leaves, no trust or any decisions by anyone else. There are some benefits, however. You can make quick decisions in a highly stressed environment. It offers clear chain of command or oversight. It works well where you need that form of leadership to people that are unmotivated, but that's not what you're going to find on a nuclear submarine. Everybody's motivated, so I don't think you need that stern of a leadership role there. The pros to a transformal or participative form of leadership is increased productivity, improved communication among a team, improved employee engagement, stronger organizational structure, but it can lead to some negatives such as burnout or resistant to change and slow to make decisions. There's a scene where we discussed last week or a few weeks back in our discussion about a conflict that was involved between the lieutenant commander and the captain, where the emergency action management plan was incomplete and there was a mutiny that involved the two. And among that, I will talk about the effective followership, which was from the cob of the boat, commander of the boat, with Lieutenant Commander Hunter. The cob showed effective followership with the transformal leadership from the lieutenant commander. The cob showed ethical prowess and critical thinking skills in the moment. So what I would like to portray in my personal and professional life of leadership would be that of what the lieutenant commander had, which is participative leadership and transformal leadership, or servant leadership. To me, those are the most effective effective forms of leadership that can be used to make change positively to a group of people that you want to lead, and also exemplify them into future leaders. So to summarize, we talked about the forms of leadership, which were autocratic or dictatorship style from the captain, and transformal or participative form of leadership from the lieutenant commander.